Bishop this time is at least aware of his opponents, which is a change.
It's always a plus.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that he's been keeping tabs on these boys, and I think Didor as well said it very well. Main opponents, these two. No matter where the rankings are at, you're always looking at that rival, and these two have a lot of strength in pulling from that.
Yeah, they're always going to put like an extra 20-10% into this match. So it's kind of always hard to predict a match like this because regardless of previous results, so Tornado Rocks have had a pretty bad season.
Yep.
In some respects. I think this will be a different side of them, which we haven't gotten to see, like an actual really performing, really trying to go forwards, really trying to make interesting plays we haven't seen before. And that's really a good point which Bishop brought up there. The last time they played against each other was, of course, at the Continental Rumble in those finals where Wombats lost in that last round. So this is a bit of a grudge match.
It definitely is. And this is the thing I'm liking. We're going to see Tornado Rocks stop just being in cruise. They're going to kick it up a gear. And it will be Himmelsdorf to kick off on. What a classic map between the two CIS-based teams who really do embrace a lot of that style. But on Himmelsdorf, let's kind of bring it in here. The two Waffle Tigers coming out. A big, hefty lineup to play with. What are your thoughts on this one, Ollie? Looking at the matchups now, we've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really heavy lineup from both teams, especially with Tornado with the 2 tank destroyers, with 3 tank destroyers. They even got a Waffentrager PZ4 in there, the tier 9 version, the one just below the Waffentrager Alpha 100. So, I mean, it's a very good gun, it's just ridiculous DPM. It can really damage those tier 10s, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to be played out. We haven't seen so many tank destroyers in this season, so... Yeah, at the beginning it's Tornado Rocks head towards the hill and Wombats just spreading their tanks thin.
So talk me through the theory crafting behind picking up this many tank destroyers and the strengths and weaknesses, because we normally see 1, but then you'll often say maybe it's a little bit too many to go to 2, but now we're seeing almost 3 here, or at least 2.5, I guess. What are the strengths and weaknesses and their intention behind this, do you think?
Well, I mean, in defense, if you are in a position where the other team is pushing forwards into maybe a weakened position, and you have a tank destroyer like a Waffentrager there, you can do basically 2,800, 3,000 damage in one burst, and you can get back any disadvantage you had in the previous part of the round. You can hold a corner completely, you can permatrack. There's a lot of advantage to that Waffentrager. But the thing is, we've seen in games past, if you don't deliver a critical blow with those 2 Waffentragers, you will lose the game because they'll have a minute reload and the other team with the FE215Bs, 50Bs will just out DPM you throughout the match. So that's the main important part. I mean, the PZ4, the Waffentrager PZ4 is... it is a tank destroyer, but it's more just there for the DPM. You can see it's in the position where the Waffentrager, the Borsig is normally put. So it's just a tier 9 version of the Borsig in that position right now.
Okay, so Tornado Rocks bringing out something a little bit new, to be fair. This is what we said as well, that these two teams do step up a gear to a degree when they face each other. They do like to try and maybe push the limits a little bit, because there is a grudge match. There is a degree of, okay, we need to show we're better than these guys. We don't care about everyone else. As long as we qualify to those finals, give a damn about anyone else. But we want to have a little bit of a grudge match, prove ourselves in this, because these two teams must train together. They must play together on weekly, daily bases. So I'm curious to see the kind of meta game coming through, and we will be seeing at least a little bit of a early Western-sized presence from the Wombats on tanks, but still, Karit's getting a little bit of a peek as to what's going on, and I'm wondering how they're going to build this from the back of it.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2 Batchats on this in this game, so they've got a lot of speed, and I think maybe Tornadoes expect them to come from the hill. I mean, the logical thing is to send your heavy tanks through the left side or the 8 line, push the Batchats off the hill, or keep them on the hill shooting through the B and A line. So, but they're not. I mean, they're using the small profile. They're going to go to the left side. I imagine Wombats is aware that Diadol will be in that position in the train yard in C2. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, we haven't seen that many effective strategies towards this 1 cap. A lot of teams have just been coming from the hill and the 8 line. So maybe Wombats have something here. I mean, obviously they need to get Diadol down regardless. But with those two tank destroyers, 2 Waffentrager Alpha 100s, the ability for Tornado Rocks to get the splash damage resets behind the building has been negated. And the SD1 is pretty slow. It's all the way over towards the right side. There's no ice force for the side scraping. So it's probably the right move Wombats is making right here.
Okay, Wombats, what else do you have in store for us? Because the field's almost been reset here. They're not going for the initial capture straight away. They are gaining presence, however, and they are trying to find a couple of shots. Outside of that, Kusok did take one back, so you can already see a little touch of damage coming through. But 6 minutes overall is a long time to play with here. And to be fair, Tornado Rocks aren't really overcommitting either anywhere themselves. They're playing relatively calm and passive at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they don't think they're going to commit anywhere. It doesn't make any sense for them. But you can see the FE215B is actually moving forwards, the ST1, so perhaps getting a little bit impatient there, Tornado. But it looks like Wombats going for a different angle. I'm a little bit scared of what Diador can do. The Batchats are now heading towards the middle, and you can see, I mean, this map is really where these two teams, I expect, will get one apiece. I mean, Wombats and Tornado come from that Russian heritage of Himmelsdorf. I mean, they're so good at it. I would be surprised if it's anything but 1-1 after this one. Regardless if it's attack or defense, doesn't really matter. It's Himmelsdorf. It's these two teams playing it. And there's only so many ways you can play this map. You kind of feel the positions out, you try and get some information, and then you just got to commit regardless. And then it becomes about the firefighting ability. It becomes about, can you take down that Waffentrager before it can release all 5 shells? That kind of thing. And it looks like Wombats are waiting for the FE215Bs to start to make their way towards that middle.
Well, they'll be joining up pretty soon. There's Kusok already, joining Breakneck and Bishop. Povel there in the back chat as well. So a couple of spots coming through. Kusok being the one to be spotted out on the Armageddon on the other side. So a lot of the hand shown here from the Wombats on tanks. No real subtlety to this one. Showing everything in the hand and in the playbook, apart from that bad chat, down that one-liners already. Creates was spotted up there on the hill. So, is there an issue showing this much of the hand, or is this going to have to be the play regardless?
I don't think so. I mean, okay, if they don't get spotted up the 8 line, then I think Wombats would be pretty stupid if they pushed up the 8 line. They're going to get spotted on the 1-3 line by Diador. The 8 line, they put themselves in a position where they can get killed by the Waffentrager Alpha E100 around the corners. They have to deal with an ST1 hull down, or side scraping, reverse side scraping. So, yeah, I think this is the right idea. They're going to go against the PZ4 Waffentrager, the E100, and the E100 normal version. So this is going to be a really strong push for Wombats around the corner.
Yeah, they need to be absolutely spot on with this as well, bearing in mind this can get real hairy real fast, but good connection on the E100 already. Going to get a little bit of damage done through that, but the Annihilator still relatively well set. He's got a good amount of HP to play with here, but the Wombats are making their presence noted. Kusok, though, takes a hell of a lot, as does Povel, but they need that sustain to kick into gear. Finally, Coca-Cola's there, but this battle is still hesitant and not completely underway just yet, but now the damage coming in from that A2 position. You can see the crossfire paying off.
I was surprised, actually, that Tornado Rocks hasn't done more damage at this point. I mean, you've got so many damaging tanks there. ST1s, E100s, Waffentrager Alpha E100s, and the PZ4, but they haven't really done much with it.
But finally, Just Cause does come in on the flank. His Batchat was a little bit of an ace up the sleeve, but now comes the counterplay as well. Tornado Rocks pushing back against the fray. They're not giving this one up just yet. Just Cause does have a nice angle of crossfire. He's going to get that final shell put into place. Forced it goes down, leaving only 4 players alive for Tornado Rocks. But look at the Wombats on tanks, quite low as well. But cleanup crew needs to come out, and finally FC Dynamo's there, but a 1-for-1 trade.
I actually think this is really good for Wombats right now. The AMX 3090 is also coming off reload. You got a Batchat there in the background, Just Cause about 15 seconds away, and Bishop has just been such a consistent player right now in that IS4. He hasn't been taken down, and yeah, I mean, he's either going to get killed by Povel or he's going to get killed by Bishop. That's FC Dynamo, and could be one of the two. And yeah, this is definitely going to be around here for Wombats if they just continue like this. Yeah. So, I mean, Karitz is just going to have a bit of a 1v1 versus Lucic, and AMX 3090 is pretty quick. Doesn't quite survive. More damage coming towards Lucic. He tries to make a couple of shells, but nothing connecting so far. That final one does. But Karitz is going to come around the corner. It's going to clean up the final remaining player of Tornado Rocks. And yeah, finally, I mean, Wombats just put a round on the board. They made the right decision. A classic push by them. By the way, Lauren can't speak, so it's just me doing everything right now. For some reason, something exploded, so not sure what happened there. Yeah, I mean, Wombats had a perfect execution around the corner. They went straight into the defensive lines of Tornado Rocks. They had the E100, the PZ4, they had the SD1, they had the FE215B, they had a Waffentrager Alpha E100. But the first volley onto Wombats just didn't do anything. I mean, they all bounced the FE215B. No real one-tank takedown straight away off the bat. And that was going to be game over, I think. So great stuff by Wombats in that first round. And maybe not really enough. Yeah, something.
Maybe people can hear me again. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there we go.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Oh, that was great. Whoever touches our studio, I will find you and I will break you. There is a lot of things like down here that you guys can't see because, you know, the beautiful magic of production. Nicely filled, by the way. Very well
Thank you very much.
Outside of that, a lot of cables. Someone comes in and pulls stuff apart.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
How come it only... Did you pull it apart? Because you were fine in the first part.
No, I pressed the cough button and then it just decided it didn't want to work anymore.
Oh, really?
And the cable came loose at the back.
Brilliant. Okay.
So whoever is touching our studio... We'll find you. Please send a lot of hate to whomever I rat out later on in this show because I don't like to be muted. See, and there was a cup in the middle. Oh, you can't see that. That's good. At least I'm hiding some things here. But yes, all should be good. And we can get back on topic and I can stop being angry about people messing with my headset with her, I swear. So, give me the recap because I got mildly, distracted by the fact that I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, and couldn't say anything. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing.
Maybe it's a sign.
Yeah, maybe. Sign from God, but yeah, I mean, Bishop staying alive. Just joking.
I'd be careful.
Ooh, the look was devastating, guys. You couldn't see that one. You're lucky. But yeah, Bishop staying alive in the IS-4. He was such a beast. Actually, I want to have a look how much damage he absorbed there. He definitely kept his team in the game. Yeah, he bounced about 1,000 damage, which is okay, and the rest of the team did pretty well as you could see. So I think just that first volley just really unsuccessful from the old Wombats, from the old Tornado Rocks, and yeah, they couldn't really make any damage stick. He had like a 3,500 damage blocked right at the beginning, and that gave Wombats the win.
Yeah, so second half. We did predict a 1-1 here. To be honest, I think if we're going to talk scoreline, this is one of those that's going to go to quite a long set unless maybe we see some really surprising results or just outstanding performances above the degree. Because I think that you see it in a lot of domestic matchups where you get these kind of very equal game. No matter outside of that how the teams are going, how they're doing, you see a very close matchup. And I feel we're going to get that here today. So hopefully we get the 1-1 coming through. As you said, a little bit disappointing from Tornado Rocks initially in that one, but then the Wombats on Tanks certainly didn't make the most of that. But still, going into the second half, any thoughts, or are you sticking with the 1-1 here?
I think I'm going to stick to the 1-1. As you mentioned, I mean, maybe in 754 where teams had their maps and they were just unbeatable on them, we had like situations where a team would go like 3-1 or even 4-0 against a team that was theoretically on the same level. But in 768, we've honestly seen the teams which are close, and you can see that they're close, going just 1-1 every single time, back and forward. So, yeah, I predict that one in this next round.
Yeah, I'm pretty much, at least on Himmelsdorf, I'm pretty much with you on that. So, as the teams do prepare, this is a great opportunity for you guys at home to get those votes and those thoughts through to us. Use the hashtag WGLEU and let us know your thinkings behind this match. What is your theory crafting as to how this one's going to go down? Do you agree with Ollie? Do you agree with me that this is going to be a very close matchup of 1-1, quite possibly? But focusing on the game is Tornado Rocks sitting down towards the south on the attack and Wombats on Tanks in the north on defense.
So Wombats going for more of a classic defensive start, pushing down the 1-3 line, trying to get some initial information. And it was the bat chats that really gave Wombats that advantage in terms of the DPM they could do in that match, in that previous round. Tornado, more of the hill style, the AMX 1390, the Armageddon receives one from Kusok. Brilliant shot by that IS-3, and it's going to be the classic Leopard 1 position tank for Kreitz and Kusok playing the heavy tanks. I mean, it's always interesting. He always seems to stick to those heavy tanks regardless of the tier. Definitely shows how these teams like to approach their lineups. But I mean, Kreitz has honestly, when he's played the SDV1 and played the Leopard, he's been very outstanding. He was the highest damage dealer in mines in quite a few rounds, and I think you can expect a decent performance from him. So right now, Bishop just trying to go for this piece against FC Dynamo and the Annihilator, and looks like an 8-line/hill push for Tornado Rocks, and that's just going to be pretty standard stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, nothing too ingenious coming through last time. Tornado Rocks picking up a lot of those of the tank destroyers. They're not, of course, going to be too much of a factor this time on the attacking side, so looking for something a little bit different. I wonder if they do fall back to that sort of strategy against other opponents, or if it was a direct counter that they felt would have worked against the Wombats. We'll have to wait and see towards the last parts of this season, ideally. But outside of that, the Armageddon going on walkabout here with that 1390, heading straight up the A-line, just scouting things out more than anything, and he's gone relatively far, pretty unspotted and or scathed.
Yeah, he has. He's really gone forwards, and maybe it's going to be Tornado to try a pretty similar tactic to Wombats, just trying to go along that DC area, around the corner, push into the tank that's defending there. But yeah, the fact that Armageddon's gone so far forwards, he's not spotted anything. They know that Kusok's there in that position in the IS-3. Probably indicates that Tornado will start making their way either up the hill or now looking where the Waffentrager is moving up the 8 line. And Just Cause is kind of having a little bit of a walkabout in that Batchat. Found the back of Vorsic, doesn't spot him, but gets spotted himself.
Yeah, Vorsic's going to readjust here, and he might just be in time to do so. Karitz was en route. Just Cause wasn't too far. Vorsic going to actually try and take a bit of a fight here, possibly. At least hold down the angle as the rest of the side are pushing up the A-line. So a very split force from the Wombats, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a pretty split move here, but it's not unusual to see teams send like 2 mediums or 2 50Ps around the back and try and basically come onto the back of the other team when they end up pushing in towards that 8 line. You just got to get the timing right, where you can maybe find like a heavier, slower tank taking up the rear and just pushing in on them at the end. So yeah, got a spot there. Actually, one of the heavy tanks on the hill is pushing down a little bit. You can see FC Dynamo and Lucikel in the FE215B and AMX50B have been spotted. And well, they've also found Breakneck and Povell, so they don't really have that option of pushing too far along.
FC Dynamo is just kind of wandering down on this one. I'm surprised not actually received any single point of damage thus far. And it is a very split attack from both sides. You've got a couple in the north, and actually the 3090 is coming all the way back down the A-line. Now, reminding ourselves that in the 3090, one player already did start going walkabouts was the Armageddon. He's already scouting out again, falling back, looking for these players. He found Karitz before. He found these guys kind of just wandering around looking for a little bit of action. And he's looking for it again, just in case they're on the flank. But, you know, this is a very interesting split up between the two. I don't know what to make of this. I think we haven't seen a split like this, you know, throughout the entire of the map to this sort of polar capacity in quite some time.
Well, what they're basically doing is Tornadox are making sure they get spotted in the north, saying to Wombats, yeah, we're all in the north, and then they keep 2 or 3 tanks back down south to basically try and take out the Batchat and the Leopard that was spotted there anyway. So it was a pretty clever move, but I mean, the Leopard played it correctly. We've seen that move before, so Wombats is aware of it. They didn't go too aggressive. They didn't go up that rectangular route in the JG line. So yeah, clever stuff. And if Wombats, if those 2 tanks hold their nerve for long enough, there will be a point where the heavy tanks sitting in that 8 line will have to push up and help their teammates, and then the Batchat and the Leopard can just charge around, take down whatever's coming in from behind, and just win the game like that. But right now it's going to be the FE215B183 and the Armageddon in the Batchat just to cap this one for a bit. But again, if Wombats want to, they can just get the FE215B and CD line, put it up into the A-B area, push around that corner, get a massive overmatch because they got 2 tanks in the 8 line, and just win the game like that.
There is a hell of a lot of opportunity here for the Wombats on tanks. I'm surprised, to be fair, that Tornado Rocks have been able to get away with this much this far. They've been, the game plan has certainly been noted by now. Diodor's going to back away, leave the Armageddon to pretty much get the cap going, try and play Big Brother here, and a lot of damage coming through towards Kusok. He might be in trouble now if he does go for a commitment pretty soon. Diodor's got a couple more seconds to wait, though, before he has another shell to be made. Kusok looking for the angle, but look at this fold coming in towards the south. Yeah,
big fold. The Leopard is actually coming straight through the middle. The FE215Bs are starting to go around the corner, so they want to try and help each other. But I feel Kreitz has got a good position, as long as that Waffentrager isn't allowed to get free damage onto him.
Here we go. Vorsic does at least get 1 shell towards Karitz in. Bishop going for the trading out. So, again, blow for blow. No one really getting a massive advantage here, but Coca-Cola finding the Armageddon removes some pressure away from the cap and force the others to retract back towards the south. So here comes everyone else back towards that central split. But to be fair, the Wombats are holding up very, very nicely so far. Positive's gone extraordinarily low. He's going to be a quick cleanup by Just Cause in the Batchat. And now, piece by piece, Tornado Rocks aren't looking so perfect at this point.
No, they are. They're actually getting completely outplayed. Kreitz misses that shot against Vorsic. Could prove crucial towards the end of this match. But yeah, Wombats, they played it really well up the 8 line. Povell, Kusok holding their positions nicely, and they just need to make sure they don't lose their cool.
Oh, losing the cool could be a big problem here, but I don't see it happening at this point. The Annihilator being focused down on pretty heftily, to be fair, as FC Dynamo does try and get into this. Vorsic to try and hem the bleeding or stop it in any variety, but none of them give a flying Well,
proverbial.
Yeah, at the moment. And look at it, Didor's coming towards Kusok, and Tornado Rocks are getting pretty low. Down to 4 players, but they're holding on. They're picking up the correct exchanges. And even though the Wombats on tanks are sitting very well with the HP, they're down to 3. So, 3v4, Vorsic looking for a little bit more on this one. Just Cause finds FC Dynamo. Now, surely this should be the closing moments, as Vorsic and Didor are the last 2 standing. And they are extraordinarily weak in this.
Yeah, they're pretty much one-shots at this point in time. Vorsic's a 2-shot, but not that much HP to play around with. And Didor in that 183, I mean, technically he can one-shot every tank there on the side of Wombats, but he does have a pretty long reload. And Didor actually going to come from behind now. Might find Coca-Cola. Yeah,
Coca-Cola's actually in trouble here. And he's weighing this one out. There's 2 tanks now about to try and barrel down towards Coca-Cola. 1 shot comes in, but Didor doesn't have the chance to do anything with it. Coca-Cola's there and denies him. This could be a 2-0. This is not what I had in mind. I thought this could be a nice clean 1-1. All right, that's Himmelsdorf down, done and dusted. But no, Wombats on tanks want to make an impression. And this would certainly be one, as Vorsic, though, does get eventually hunted down here as Just Cause closes it. And there we have it. Wombats on tanks going to take the 2-0.
Unbelievable. I honestly thought it would be a 1-1, but yeah, I mean, I guess after that first round where Wombats executed so nicely and Tornado Rock failed so powerlessly, maybe we should have thought, okay, this is actually going to be a 2-0, considering the defensive side is the easy side to play, and obviously Wombats won the attacking side. So yeah, I mean, that execution was pretty lackluster, I think, but I mean, Wombats played it really nicely. They had that back chat in support. They sent the Leopard into the perfect position where they basically stopped that Waffentrager being in effect. They kept it in the 8 line, unsupported, so they could easily take it down. Positive was just, one of the better players and consistently the highest damage dealer for Tornado Rocks, out of the battle already. And then you have Tornado just bunched into this kind of 1 to 6 line area, and they're just going to get taken down slowly but surely in that funnel.
Yeah, a lot of issues coming through for Tornado Rocks, but this is the first map. They have time to reset now in between the second coming to that, and you can have a little look overall as to how this one went down. Vorsic did very, very well for himself, but the vast majority of the Wombat on Tanks players just seemed to step up.
Yeah, it was exactly that. They played all on a consistent level. You can see Just Cause, the one who came in from behind, had a big impact in that round. Coca-Cola, the IS4 players have been doing exceptionally well for Wombats, and yeah, Vorsic had a great round, but he just couldn't do enough. I mean, no one there else apart from Vorsic is at the top, anywhere near the top of that leaderboard. When you got 3,000, 2,500 damage done. So, I mean, Himmelsdorf out, done. Prokhorovka up next. Completely different matchup, completely different map, different skill set needed. I mean, we saw obviously Out of Range versus Tornado Rocks, and they got absolutely trounced on Prokhorovka in that last round. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Wombats have maybe been a little bit weak on this map. There is a door, there's an opportunity here for Tornado to win, but they just have to play better than they did in Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, and my faith in Wombats on tanks is kind of nosedived, especially after some of their results, only on this map in my eyes at least, because they used to be so good. So you instantly hold them in such a higher regard than maybe you would normally or externally to that. So for me, just being able to see them not being quite as conducive to what they used to be like, it's a little tricky to watch. It feels like they just maybe don't practice it as much. Because it literally was their fallback game. And I was like, okay, this is our map. We always have this in our pocket, but slowly started to become a little bit of a hindrance more than an actual help in that regard. But you guys at home have been voting, so actually let's find out how that's one been coming through, because very close game here, very close fan base. You can't really split them normally, but Melly, how are people getting on with this?
Well, it seems like they can't really decide either, because usually when we have a team like Wombats or Tornado in a matchup, we always have those high numbers. Of course, now both of those giant teams are in the same matchup, so people of course have to really think about where to put their money on. If you haven't voted yet, head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get yourselves involved. By doing so, by actually predicting the exact scoreline and getting it right, you might win a bonus code. So currently it's 67% for Wombats on tanks.
Okay, so people are keeping faith in, I guess, the EU giants, the guys that, a lot of people have known for a long time, but it's hard to deny a lot of that talent on the Tornado Rock side.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been saying all season, but it hasn't exactly worked out the way we thought it would do.
You're not wrong.
I mean, we had Continental Rumble, It was a 4-7 scoreline in favor of Tornado Rocks. We were like, holy hell, these guys are going to be insane. Everyone was like, yeah, you know, Tornado Rocks have the best lineup we've ever seen in World of Tanks, you know, with Lucy Kell and Diador, the previous team captains of Hellraisers, obviously, Red Rush Unity, etc., etc. Amazingly impressive players, really experienced, alongside the best from Team Supreme, you know, FC Dynamo. We got Volsik in there as well, you know, players who've been at the top echelon for a very long time. And positive. I mean, what a great player that guy is, consistently getting better as we've seen him it progresses in his WGLEU career, but it just hasn't transpired like that. Tiebreaker lost to tiebreaker win to Synergy, lost to Ding, lost out of range. A lot of sketchy rounds, I have to say. And yeah, it's going to be Prokhorovka next, as we mentioned. As we do go in with Wombats at a significant lead with 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 so far. Really quite a surprise, especially off the back of Himmelsdorf, and now coming to what a classic map for them was. You know, you'd hope that they maybe could convert a little something, even if it goes to a 3-1. That's great for them. Whereas Tornado Rocks have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. As you said, this superstar lineup that just really hasn't been delivering in regard to pretty much the results from start to finish. So, in the north, on the defense, it's going to be Wombats on tanks. In the south, on attack, is Tornado Rocks. And the initial plays have been made, Ollie. Where are they left standing?
Well, I mean, it's all about how fast Volsik and how much impact he'll have when he goes to the middle of the map. If you can hold that, there's nothing really Wombats can do, considering they haven't put Bishop all the way forwards, even though he's starting to creep up there now. So, I mean, it's going to be a fight between Bishop and Volsik. Who can hold the middle? There was some tanks spotted down south, so I think Wombats is aware Tornado Rocks is on that left side. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is actually a lot more standard than we get to see. And I guess the main point of interest for Wombats would be the RU251 and D1, D2. If that gets taken down, Tornado Rocks will be able to push up the 1-2 line, take down those tanks with some side shots for the TVP. We've already seen this with TVPs, just like Out of Range did. Easy game, and yeah, it'll be win for them. But if Wombats can keep him alive, they can get so many shots onto the tanks that are pushing forwards, etc., etc., take them down, no problems at all. But we actually see another move here. Lusik's pushing on the hill with the I-251, and yeah, I mean, that could catch Breakneck out, for instance.
It really could. There's a lot of fragile elements to this map and this play thus far. You know, you've got to keep things in well balance here as Volsik does take one. Kusok again. A little bit of a blow for blow here. Volsik. Got to be careful now, because he's one of the main pieces in this puzzle that's keeping these boys together. And he's down to 1.3k. Still pretty well set. Not the worst in the world. Sitting pretty heftily, of course. But overall, slowly but surely, Wombats are getting some map control here as well. Yeah, the IS-7 is pushing forward now for Bishop. And positive Diador pushing towards that right side, probably based off the information that Lucyk got. They know that right side is relatively open. They can take control of it, etc. They know that maybe with the IS-7 and RU251 combo, probably not going to be too easy to get over there. And the interesting thing is that Wombats have the SDB and Batchat in the middle. That's kind of an anti-strat towards what we've seen, you know, from other teams, where they go towards the left, they wait for a bit, and then they all charge down towards that right side. They get control of cap number 2, they put 3 tanks in there. The other team doesn't have enough time to go from the left to the right, and they just cap them out before they can get the first reset. So if Breakneck and the SDB1 can hold their positions, could go well. But yeah, Volsik is continuously getting out-peaked right now. Yeah, Volsik needs to be really careful, and Breakneck's in a nice little position as well. They're slowly closing the net towards him. But while this happens in the south, Tornado Rocks are gathering their forces and looking for other opportunities. And well, they might just get it. Bearing in mind 2 tanks were already scouting towards that far east side. They might have a good idea as to what maybe is coming their way. They can negate the couple of tanks on the west. They might have to sacrifice Volsik for this, but if it works out, he'll be a sacrifice worth taking. Yeah, for sure. The Annihilator now pushing forwards, and a lot of tanks pushing forwards here for Tornado. So actually they're going to get good control, and Breakneck has to be really careful. Volsik's a lost cause right now. He's definitely going to go down. But what can Wombats on tanks get off the back of losing that tier 10? That's the big question here. Well, here we go. Lucyk did manage to get down Breakneck. There goes Volsik, finally goes down. It was a matter of time at that point, but a 1-for-1 trade out in the end means that the battle's going to commence pretty much towards this very central point here, and wondering at what pace the Wombats do come flooding back in. I think that was an unnecessary death there. I don't think Breakneck really needed to go down, but here's Tornado Rocks to try and push over that mount. Wow, okay, Tornado Rocks are just trying to take the aggressive stance on this one, try and make the fight come to the opponent, and they are bringing it all guns a-blazing. Povl gets a little bit. Kusok on the flank, though. Just Cause is actually getting pretty low here, as is Povl. Tornado Rocks making the most of the initiative, and actually is paying off pretty well here, keeping themselves in this game with the amount of tanks alive, but Wombats still have the HP advantage.
And Coca-Cola's in a really good position. He actually can try and maybe get 1 or 2 kills here, and Bishop now is going hull down on their IS-7. They need to use that as a center point for the rest of the team to fight off, as Kusok goes down. That's a big kill.
Kusok getting absolutely caught with his pants down. Now Bishop suddenly looks a little more vulnerable than he was just a couple of seconds ago. That HP is going to absolutely melt away, especially when he's on fire and burning alive in the tank. He gets put to bed by Positive. I can imagine we almost thanking him for that kind way of going down, as Carice just needs 1 more shell, and his fate is sealed. Bearing in mind Coco is your last man standing. Tornado Rocks taking the initiative and pulling out a victory here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the effect of basically just going all in against a few tanks and getting the overmatch, because, yeah, okay, your team at the end of the firefight will have basically no HP, a lot of tanks will be low, but at the end of the day, you'll still have tanks alive. You'll be able to get the win pretty easily like that, and you can see it worked perfectly for Tornado. Even though Wombats had Bishop in the background with the STP, they had the IS-7, etc., etc., still that overmatch gave them, you know, such a disadvantage that Tornado Rocks could win it out. Pushing onto those tanks, taking them down real quickly, delaying a little bit the IS-7. I felt like if Wombats wanted to win that one, they should have just pushed over the hill, actually just collapsed them from that right side onto those tanks that are pushing across the train line, and just engage straight in to make sure it's an even fight. And yeah, I mean, the IS-7 in that position, it's all good, but I mean, it can't hold its ground on its own. There was no real firefight, no real backup for it in the end, and that's why I think it should just been going straight into the fight, giving Wombats that armor and HP advantage. So yeah, I mean, that's not a tactic we've seen Tornado Rocks use a lot, and you know, they're obviously going to be taking this match a little bit seriously.
Yeah, it's nice to see them pulling out a couple more pieces of the puzzle, you know, not just kind of playing their normal, well, we don't need to play that hard sort of game type. It's good seeing them having to push themselves to their limits to a degree, or maybe not even their limits, but put out another couple of plays. But looking at the damage, anyone stand out to you in that game? To me, it was just more the positioning and the team fights more than anything. Yeah,
I think positioning, Breakneck going down in the back chat, totally unnecessary. I think he probably just got a little bit caught out. Yeah, I mean, Volsig was always going to die. He's too slow to go in any other position. But yeah, Breakneck was a big piece. And yeah, you could see Coco in STV1 was in a great position. He did a lot of damage, but it just wasn't enough. And Positive, Just Cause, Breakneck, Karitz, all sub 1,000 damage. Yeah, surprising, but well, I guess, you know, when you see their names in that regard, but then when you think about the results, maybe not so surprising. So 2-1 is your current scoreline. We're seeing a little bit more life coming back in with Tornado Rocks finally, after a bit of a spanking on map 1, showing that they can hold their own here, finally taking the initiative on the fights, and actually it does pay dividends. So at 2-1, will we see Wombats coming back in with a bit of a rapport here, make it 3-1, start looking maybe towards that closer, or do you think this could even go closer? Well, I think that match was more based on the decision of the team that won it than just bad play by Wombats. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get the next round. You know, quick thinking decisions are really what, you know, separate you from other teams, separate you in terms of the scoreline you can get. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is still game on. I didn't see any particularly really bad play by Wombats. I just think Tornado Rocks made the right decision at the right time, got the timing perfectly, knew what they had to do, and executed properly without any remorse at all for Wombats on tanks. So, game on still. Prokhorovka, obviously, after that 2-0 on Himmelsdorf, Wombats are still leading by a round, as Tornado just want to surge towards the middle again.
Yeah, looking to try and take some control of this map and get the initial information as to where at least Wombats are and where they're not. It's very simple. You can start adding everything else to this kind of picture that's emerging very quickly. Now, Lucic is already off on a bit of a mission, charging straight down towards the south, hasn't spotted out a thing, and now surely they're going to realise, okay, they are definitely not on this western side. Yeah,
they're definitely not over there. There's no chance at all. You can see the RU-251s all the way down there. This could be interesting. I mean, ultimately we'll have a position or a situation where there will be shots across that train line, but the fact that Tornado Rocks took quite a long time to realize and make a decision of where they wanted to go, it will allow Wombats to actually get an M46 pattern, an A6, A7, and get some tanks hull down. If Tornado had reacted immediately, they would have been able to get some initial shots. They would have got the positions earlier on. They would have get the information a little bit earlier on.
A little bit slow to react from Tornado Rock, surprising after they were so quick on the initiative in that previous round. But now, will they get punished for this, or will the Wombats on tanks just not be quite as punishing as they once were? Just Cause trading out a couple of blows here, nothing too bad just yet. Breakneck receives one, and we're down to the stalemate pretty much.
Yeah, we are. But, I mean, typically now, what Wombats and a lot of teams have done, for instance, just sit a tank in the cap. But Lucic actually getting caught out. That's a passive Coca-Cola. I don't think he expected. He's maybe going to be out to Coca-Cola for a bit, so I think Tornado Rocks is actually going to be making a move. You can see a lot of damage going up north as Just Cause goes down, he falls. Yeah,
and even Armageddon taking a lot for that, but it's a kill nevertheless, so it's one on the board here. And look at Caris, desperate to try and avenge his fallen comrade, but it doesn't matter. One more shell is needed to take down the Armageddon, not what you'd want here. And the Armageddon has relatively good cover here. The Annihilators joined him, but there we go. Finally, the trades are coming out. Wombats on tanks are in the lead by HP. However, Tornado Rocks are looking like they want to take the action again, and they've turned the tide. Caris falls, leaving only 4 alive for the Wombats on tanks.
A lot of damage going towards Wombats right now. They're not really sustaining through it. It all comes down to Bishop, if he can stay alive. Great position with Positive on the left side. You've also got Lucic still alive in that RU251. He's going to be such a pain in the back. If he can start to do that 250 damage for 5 seconds, reload, he's going to swing the tide firmly in favor of Tornado Rocks. They're already ahead.
They definitely are. Even though HP was mildly in favor to the Wombats on tanks, they lost on players, and then suddenly you saw it turn around. And I'm so surprised Lucic has been able to get away with this spot. No one really holding that southern push, barring Coca-Cola, who was just a little bit passive. We are going to see the split coming out from the Wombats on tanks. They're pushing out towards the west, whereas Povel looking to pick up the kills, looking to get the damage. Nice little snap out by Coca-Cola, reflecting the shell as well coming in from Positive. So he's sitting relatively pretty here. And actually, they are working down the Wombats pretty well. Povel looking a little worse for wear. He's going to be found by Lucic. So, as you said, Tornado Rocks in the driving seat.
Yeah, you should never lose a 1 versus 1 when you're a tier 10 versus a tier 8. That was really poor play by Povel. Great play by Lucic, and he's left Bishop alone.
Yeah, and the 2-for-1 just going to easily pick that one up. It's now just 2 players standing for the Wombats, Breakneck and Coca-Cola, and they know their days numbered. And to be fair, Positive as well, spying them out, is going to add insult to injury as the rest of the turrets do turn. And look at Coca-Cola getting a absolute flak full of damage, and he knows he is not for this world for long.
I think Breakneck just wants to get that ego kill against Positive because he's been a real pain from the side, and he might just find it.
Yeah, he should do here. He's got the HP to work with. I don't see why he wouldn't. There we go, finally gets it, but it is to really no avail as there is still 4 tanks standing for Tornado Rocks on 3k HP. This should be tied up now at 2-2. Tornado Rocks certainly showing their prowess here in map 2 after really whiffing and kind of, you know, almost, as you said, screwing the pooch on the first map. Close is going to be coming in any second now unless Breakneck pulls off a miracle. He doesn't. And there we have it. 2-2 going to be the scoreline here between Tornado Rocks and Virtus Pro. And, well, a good game so far.
Yeah, I mean, really insane. We don't often see like a 2-2 when a map is, when a team is so close as these two are. So incredible stuff. I mean, 2 completely different maps, 2 completely different results. And, I mean, that first round, I was like, okay, maybe, you know, Wombats just made the wrong decision. But that second round, Tornado Rocks again making a really snap decision to push over the north. They had Lucic in that right side just to provide the extra bit of distraction. And, you know, we do see a lot of teams win and lose on that RU2 just providing that 10, 15, 20-second window where an STB1 has to try and take care of him so you can get that 6 versus 7 overmatch in the north, or 5 versus 6, or whatever you have in the north. And, yeah, those 2 M46s, I mean, a great tank, really easy to play, but you're not going to be able to stand up to the damage of the TVPs, the STPs. So they got taken down really quickly, got absolutely annihilated. And then when you have that northern pressure, you can just shoot down towards the train line. Lucic doing a great job against Povel. And, you know, I think maybe if Povel survived, there would have been a chance there to hold firm with Bishop. But him going down was just terrible, like really bad play by him. And you can see the Annihilate had a blast of a game along with FC Dynamo, who's been a bit quiet for the Tornado Rocks' roster. But yeah, I mean, we're on. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, and I'd love to see the stat of how many times we've seen not only a 2-2, but then the first 2 rounds going to one team, and then a whole other 2 rounds going to the second team.
Very rarely, man.
I don't think I've seen this at all. Even if you Yeah, like
We get 1-1, 1-1 a lot.
Yeah.
When the teams are close.
Correct. So this is
Like we
brilliant to
get the
watch.
team winning on the side they should win, losing on the side they should lose, winning on the side like that. But
Yeah.
this is unusual.
Yeah, and I think it just displays how good these two teams are. But Melly, the people at home, have been getting their predictions through to us. How's it resting at the moment? Because it looked like maybe they made the right choice at the start, but now Tornado Rocks picking up those last 2 rounds. Suddenly we're back, all even.
It's really funny to see, as you mentioned, we always saw that. We saw that shift from back and forth more often due the rounds, but not map-wise. So to get my words straight, I'm sorry. And yes, people at home are voting 71% for Wombats on tanks. And it's currently looking, when it goes after a community, that we'll see the deciding map tonight in our first match. So
I
a lot of
surprised.
5-4s, a lot of 5-4s or 4-5s.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at all seeing that. I think seeing these two teams very capable on the maps themselves and picking up these personality-based wins into very polarizing maps, I think, tiebreaker wins basically are the best thing they could hope for at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, if either of these two get tiebreaker wins, you're actually opening yourself up to
and even close to top 3, right?
Well, yeah, like Oops could secure first in that position. I mean, if they win against, I think it's Ding their next match.
Yeah.
Ding could also secure if they win the next 2 matches. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if they screw each other if they go to a tiebreaker, which will make it even more interesting for us, but for them, not so good.
Not great, yeah. But I doubt, these two teams are so competitive, so I doubt there'll be any gentleman's agreement like, guys, don't worry, you take it. You take that
the
win.
3 points, yeah.
No one's going to be saying that between these two, trust you me. But anyway, teams are almost prepared. They're getting themselves ready for the next map coming up. I do believe it's going to be Mines, if I'm not mistaken. So a lovely, quick game. I can only hope in this one how they're going to play this out. The aggressive nature may be coming through. We'll wait and see. 2-2 is that current scoreline. And a lot of you guys expecting that final map to having to be played out where it gets even closer. So, Ollie, predictions on this?
Again, I just think it's down to whoever makes that quicker decision and who reacts faster. Individual players also, very important. There can be no mistakes from these two. But looking at the artillery lineups, I mean, Kusok gone for the M40 and Lorraine from Diodor. Kusok's been consistently good with that one, and it's going to be the faster reload, the better accuracy, the more mobile versus the big, chunky American heavy-hitting artillery from Kusok. So that's going to be interesting. Oh my days. Beautiful. Was that a blind shot? I didn't see it.
Yes.
I mean, that was a blind shot, right?
That has to be.
I didn't see he got spotted because sometimes we don't get to see. I mean, if it comes out quickly enough, I don't know. Maybe
I don't think anyone could spot it.
I was looking at my screen, which I didn't have the mod, so I didn't see if they got spotted or not.
Oh my god, Kusok is just absolutely just savaging these guys. This is beautiful to watch. Not only does he take down one just kind of like cleanly, now he's gone and found like basically the splash damage as well.
That was Bishop.
That was Bishop doing that?
Bishop was just in the middle of the map and he was the one with a kill. Pretty sure. Bishop, in the 113. He shot towards, I mean, this is the thing. Wombats have used that position, died or just went in. Yeah. He just blind shot it towards where Kusok has gone in the past against, I think it was Ding, shot across towards where the TVP and IS4 is. So Bishop just made the right decision, shot over, said, no, you can't give us a taste of our own medicine, and took him down very easily. And I mean, that's an artillery piece out, big tilt for Tornado, and also good initial damage by Kusok onto the heavier tanks.
That's fantastic. You know, this is what I like about these two teams. Even if they do kind of spar together, train together, you're going to see these kind of mental games coming through where they know the other team knows that, we play this position a lot, do we switch it up? But this position works into our strategy. You see this lovely back and forth really being thought through. So really high tier level play going out from both of these teams.
Ooh, Kusok though is spotted. This could be bad news. He manages to get safe. There's nothing that can shoot him right in this position because Tornado Rocks don't have the hill. I imagine the next move from Wombats will be to try and get control of that hill. Kusok needs to put pressure on Lucikel and the Armageddon before that happens. And I'm pretty sure Tornado Rocks realize if Wombats get the hill, it'll be game over.
Look at the sustained damage coming from Just Cause there, and that was absolutely beautiful to watch. Keeping those boys back at bay, not allowing them to make the counterplay towards the hill. ST Dino just about skipping past that little bit of artillery coming into play, but now His position is noted. Breakneck's trying to make the most of it. Positive denies the clean pick up there. And this game is back and forth, but Wombats again are holding on to this. Lucic is down to nothing. He's going to be pretty much an easy, clean pick up at this point. Down 35 HP, and they're desperately trying to get it as well. Karitz, Bishop, Coca-Cola all lining up, dying to get that kill, but actually Just Cause finds Forsic first.
Those 3-1-13s are just pounding Tornado Rocks down to an absolute core. They're getting absolute beasted, and the IS4 also helps there. FC Dynamo is trying to do as much as he can, and Positive did a great job in that bat shot. But the 113 sustained damage and the HP has just been a little bit too much, I feel, for Tornado Rocks right now. Kusok is spotted just coming off reload.
And if I'm honest, Tornado Rocks are just being bodied right now. Look at this. Every single angle is relatively covered. Just Cause again, shell after shell, delivered perfectly. Okay, Kusok took a little bit of damage,
Don't
but
say bodied.
I have to. I'm sorry. Like, look at this.
It is, Rick.
It's pretty brutal, I'm not going to lie to you. And to be fair, I didn't expect this. Wombats on tanks looked shaky once they came back into the season after a little bit of a respite, a little bit of a break. Now, they look ridiculously good, to be fair. And Positive on the swing out there. Doesn't get the shot he wanted. And the combo closes down. Wombats on tanks take the lead. And somewhat, you know, strongly as well. There was a lot of confidence there. There was a lot of reading into the play that was being brought out. And it just looked, you know, piece by piece in a very good direction for them.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff. I mean, obviously, the beginning, it just went perfectly, taking down Danger on that artillery. Nice little 1,400 damage from the artillery piece of Kusok. And then, I mean, it just went better and better. They saw FC Dynamo coming from behind, which is a really risky play. Fair enough, he actually did very well. Positive also taking down Breakneck, so both teams lost a tier 10 for nothing. But then the 3-1-13s and the IS forwards just, first of all, winning the peak on the hill very easily, and then just pushing down, absolutely wrecking those FE215Bs like they were nothing. There was just nothing I felt like Tornado could do at that point. You know, they just lost too much. They had tanks here, there, everywhere. The back check was on reload. So and they had lost control of the middle.
So is this a map problem? Was it a side problem? A lineup choice?
I mean, just
a counterplay. You know, how
a counterplay, right? I mean, right at the beginning, you get a disadvantage, like because the other team knew what you're going to do. Yeah. So that's a counterplay. So
I don't know what, you know. Going into the next side of things, you know, looking at the stats real quick, you can have a little highlight as to who performed or not. But going to the next side of things, do you have to adjust? Like, what can you do to change off that? And
look at this damage there by Kusok. 949 per shot. 3 hit, easy as you like.
Beautiful.
I mean, great stuff from him, and Kusok, Just Cause, also doing a good job. You can see as well, Karitz, Coca-Cola, nice damage in those 2 heavier tanks. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It was hard to say exactly what Tornado Rocks wanted to do. I mean, ultimately, if they had that Lorraine still in the battle, they would have been able to take down Wombats piece by piece because they had those heavier tanks. I guess they were concerned about the fact that the IS-4 and definitely the 113s are low-profile tanks, fairly hard to hit from the A1 to A3 area. So they knew they had to try and find an extra angle onto them if they were going to pick that artillery piece up. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is what happened in 754 in some respects on Mines, where towards the end of the season, teams were starting to pick very heavy lineups on this maps with IS-3s and just trying to catch out the other team as much as possible, use that HP, use the armor, and just basically out spreadsheet the other team with the lighter tanks. So
you can't necessarily blame them for that. And I guess coming to the theory crafting of this is it's getting towards the end of the season. These teams need these wins. You're going to start seeing these kind of not necessarily cheesy tactics, but just kind of we need this. Let's not try anything crazy. Let's just play the numbers game and hope it works out in our favor and no one makes errors. So as said, going into the second half now. We've seen a little bit of fire coming out from Wombats on tanks, and they've got some prowess on that one. But surely they can't do the anti-strat twice. You're not going to do the same thing twice if you're Tornado Rocks. But it's starting to look a bit worrying. Are we going to see another 2-0 here?
Well, again, I don't think so. I mean, it shouldn't be a 2-0 ever on these maps. I mean, Mines is pretty balanced, maybe slightly in favor of the defensive side. But this triple E50M and E100 lineup from Tornado Rocks is, I mean, E100 we see on the defensive side, but with the 3 E50Ms, this is super unusual. They are going to send them to the left side. TVPs are going to go up the hill. I think Tornado Rocks is going to try and get some initial advantage here. And maybe even just say, okay, Wombats, we're going to use the high HP tanks. We've seen this tactic before with the E50Ms. Use the high HP tanks forwards with the good armor. And then when Wombats want to collapse onto them, they have that HP and the armor to sustain through that initial damage, and then they can use the artillery, they can use the TVPs to actually get to get the HP advantage. But Just Cause with a super cheeky position.
This is risky. It needs to be well coordinated with the rest of the Wombat side, otherwise it's going to be doing very little. But it does seem as though they are trying to make the commitment here, and they are getting a little bit of damage done actually, but maybe not as much as they'd want to. Down to 7.3k, whereas Tornado Rocks on 7.5 right now. Finally, Vorsic and Lucic get a little bit of damage, but this is still a very close game between the two. Wombats are holding on.
But the E50s are just absolute snipers. They're beautiful laser damage onto those FE215Bs, no problem at all. Barely have to aim, and Dido can just lumber through the straight through the middle of this map and start to work those 113s down.
Yeah, look at this play. They are starting to try and tighten the noose, not allow the Wombats any room to breathe, and it's certainly looking exactly like that. Breath by breath, the Wombats are running out of air. Down to 3 tanks now. Make it to as Just Cause and Kusok are just left to watch as their team crumbled under the weight of Tornado Rocks.
Yeah, the weight of the E50Ms, like 100 tons, basically 70 tons, E100, 100 tons plus. Just pushing over the middle of the map. Easy to like. I mean, Just Cause had a blast of a game. He did so much damage, 2 clips, no problem at all. And I actually thought it was an interesting move, similar to what FC Dynamo did, and we've seen it a little bit on the Russian server.
Yeah.
But clearly not enough. And, you know, even if he was there on the front line with his team, Batchat wouldn't have really done that much in that situation. You've got 1 cliff off, 1.8k. Doesn't really make that much difference against the E100 and the E50s. No HP, no armor. It would have been a pretty easy game here for Tornado anyway, as Just Cause is just left to try and hide in that K9 area.
And as you can see, with everyone closing in towards him, it's gone really well. And to be fair, it's maybe time to discuss the next map coming up, see what they have up their sleeve for that one. Just Cause, he's going to accept his fate. He knows what's coming. A couple more shells and it's all but done. And there we have it. Tornado Rocks tie it back up at 3-3. Mines living up to that reputation of being quite an even map. Always playing out to the, you know, pretty much the fairest of the capabilities. So living up to the reputation it holds, considering both these teams picked up those polar 2-0s on either side, that's, you know, a very telling sign of Mines. But then again, the kind of, you know, along the same vein, but maybe not in the best of ways, Ruinberg, another map that can be seen as, well, they always win on one side. I guess that's a good thing, but, you know,
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have been pretty weak on Ruinberg. They've both lost attacking rounds a couple of times, defensive rounds a couple of times. So, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting one. Maybe their weakest map and maybe why they didn't ban it out. We'll have to see. But, yeah, I mean, technically this should be a 1-all, and we'll go on to Cliff as a tiebreaker.
Yep.
Obviously, you know, we're 3-3 now because of the 2-0s and then the 1-0 on Himmelsdorf and then Prokhorovka and then Mainz. So, yeah, I mean, obviously a team needs to win the next 2 rounds in a row on Ruinberg if we want to avoid going to the tiebreaker. But tiebreaker was predicted at the beginning anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised. You can see Just Cause did a hell of a lot of damage, 2 clips at the back end of that game. Dido, I mean, fantastic play by him and positive on the same amount there with 2,665, or one's got 2,655. Yeah, those E50s, lots of armor, lots of HP, just charging over the middle of the map against the 113s, the T50s, TVPs. Yeah, there's not really that much chance there. I think maybe if Wombats had like a double Conqueror or whatever, then they could have had a chance. Maybe the 54 on the left side island could also be a chance, but yeah.
Well, Ruinberg, as you said, if it plays out to its normal story, even though these two teams aren't particularly fantastic at this one, it should be a 1-1, tiebreaker comes in. But then again, you know, you don't often see Himmelsdorf being 2-0s or, you know, Prokhorovka being 2-0s. It's not what's the done thing. So maybe there is an upset to be had here. Maybe we'll know who our victor is to a degree after the end of this. We'll have to wait and see as the teams do prepare themselves. Are you going to say final map?
I mean, if you're going on this, if you're a betting man, you know, if you're at the horses right now, you definitely put it on Ruinberg 1-all. So I would go with that one as the tiebreaker. Yeah,
it's hard to doubt that this map does provide a hell of a lot of 1-1 results, and even when these teams are so closely met, I think we will have to hold ourselves in regard to that. But still, you guys at home, you'll be able to get your votes in. Maybe you can get your thoughts though using the hashtag WGLEU. Melly is waiting in the wings, desperate to keep eyes on what you guys are getting up to and your thoughts on this matchup. Why are you guys, you know, favouring the Wombats on tanks? Obviously, so far, they're doing pretty well to keep up to that reputation, but still a very close game, 3-3 in these lineups, Ollie. Anything standing out?
Well, Wombats obviously on the attack. They've gone super hull down. 3 IS-7s, 2 T-54s, Object 140. To me, immediately says, if I was Tornado, they want to be going for that 0 line, try and go hull down, put the IS-7s in the cap. But it looks like, and I know Wombats always take a bat shot. Like, that's just how it goes. I mean, they always have a bat shot, either played by Breakneck or Just Cause. But this is actually a bit of a bluff. They've sent most of their forces up north. The only thing there is actually Waffentrager, in my opinion, can easily be taken down. You can just load HE. It's a big tank. It's not got the best camo value in the world. It's, you know, easily spotted, and yeah, I mean, you can do good damage with it, but if you get spotted, you're just dead. So I think that probably could be the best move from Tornado at the from Wombats at the beginning. But looks like they're sending the IS-7s now back down around. The Batchet's already spotted towards that southern side. Has found nothing, so maybe a bit of a split push from Wombats on tanks.
Well, they're trying to bring some originality to this. I'm not going to sit here and despise it just yet. I just think it's maybe all in vain to some degree, as we know this map can be so hard to forge victories towards, especially on that attacking side. But hopefully they've got something in mind. Maybe this is a plan they've been working out for a while. And look at this. Povl, Bishop, Kusok, all going round and looking for their chances.
Yeah, just waiting for the old rotate from Wombats on tanks. Yeah, I mean, I guess either way would work. They obviously wanted to try and, you know, go up north, see what they could find, see if there's any quick move from Tornado Rocks, but there is nothing, and they're just sneaking towards the south now, making sure they don't get caught out by some cheeky move, but obviously Tornado want to be sticking to what they know on this one, and I imagine it's just going to be the old cap maneuver. T-54s go up north, they're continually getting spotted up north, so a bit of a bluff from them, but Breakneck Just Cause is going to go first. There's no T-62A there for Wombats on tanks, bit of blind shots coming out, so perhaps Tornado is now aware that Wombats is now coming from the south. You can see slight movement from the Waffentrager as Breakneck goes in, but to be fair, I mean, if Breakneck goes in with Just Cause, could work out for them.
It could do. Let's see if Tornado Rocks are on their toes here. They're going to suddenly find out what the plan is in store, and Forsic is going to be part of that. Breakneck does actually manage to get across pretty well. Still has 3 shells in that tank, 2 more to go. Gets 1 more coming in from that city side on the eastern front, but there we go, he does close down. And that is a 1-for-1 pickup, but that zero line is now free from players to provide any sort of covering fire. So maybe they can start looking towards that cap, but there's a good little split here from Tornado Rocks, keeping this map well uncovered.
That's all you can ask for, right, as a Batchet. You go and you take the Object 140 out, no problem at all. And then you have so much more room to maneuver around the map. You can shoot up the zero line, and you can basically get control of that cap without having to worry too much. But Creeds kind of gets caught out here as Tornado Rocks want to push through towards the middle. The IS-7s are starting to surge forward now for Wombats on tanks, and they still have an unspotted T-54 up north. So, I mean, if that T-54 wants to push in and come around from that cap number 1, or even just capping cap number 1 right now, that could go very well for Wombats on tanks. Of course, they don't get to see all the information we see. And yeah, I mean, Wombats just playing patiently right now.
And it's all good and well to be patient, but at this point, they're starting to, lose a little bit of HP, and I just don't see Tornado Rocks making these massive errors, to be fair. If you give them a little bit more time even, I think they'll actually consider the fact of what else Wombats could be bringing. Now, it was Karitz who was pushed up a little bit further. Coca-Cola was one even further up toward the north, but yet to really find much from it and be able to make anything really happen off the back. Now, the IS-7s are thoroughly spotted, but in the Western City, the Object 140s now joining over with the T-54s. We'll be looking for a little bit of a play towards the north.
Yeah, they're just going to go straight up towards that northern area. I think probably the better idea, because they know at bare minimum they can get shots towards the FE-215B sitting in that half-moon circle. The thing is, I mean, they need to put equal amount of pressure on with those IS-7s to stop the Waffentrager and the FE-215Bs just simply shooting and nailing these T-54s and the Object 140, as we've seen plenty of times before on this map. So, depends on how early Dido gets to spots. He will find them right now. And exactly how much pressure and how much damage that Wombats can avoid across this section. Well,
so far for Coca-Cola, not a lot, and neither for Just Cause. A lot of turrets turning, and very, very quickly. Where is that counter pressure going to come from? Those IS-7s are achieving very little so far. Actually, not even the fire tool. Karitz has scampered away just a touch. He's made it. He's almost made it towards north. Positive still in a good spot there. The IS-7s are trying to mobilize slightly further here, work their way up that crescent moon line, but by now I just feel Wombats are taking so much damage.
Well, Lusig's got a great angle as well. Fantastic work by him. He's basically negated Karitz being able to get through this middle area, and he can just absolutely nail him as we go through. It's a hard shot to make though, and Tornado Rocks have played this one correctly. They've held that position. The Waffentrager had every single shot down, hit it to a T. And now it's, if Wombats can try and struggle their way back into this game.
It's going to be a long grind for those boys as well. Kusok, Povell and Bishop have to do the heavy lifting in that. Bear in mind that Coca-Cola's down to 2-0-5. So little HP there, but now look at Lucic. He's going the clear-out crew. Great positioning from him. He does find Coca-Cola. Now those final three. Position was duly noted. They were the IS-7s that were there from the very start almost, and now the crossfire should be in place. There shouldn't be too much room to breathe. A little bit of damage will come through, and actually FC Dynamo caught out in the open. Is he the sacrificial lamb here, allowing the rest of Tornado Rocks to do the damage? And so far it looks as though it may just be that. Kusok heading through takes a lot of the flak, but FC Dynamo going down and no trade coming out of that.
Yeah, the IS-7's being utilised very nicely there, but Diodor has him from behind. Lucic's also going to be able to pester. And you can see Annihilator is also going to surge through the middle.
Yeah, this should be all but done now. There's 2 remaining tanks and dwindling on HP and options. Up against 4, as now just Povell stands, and not for long. Tornado Rocks take it another map further, but it was relatively close. Wombats tried something new, just didn't work out.
I think they probably got a little bit too complicated for themselves there. I mean, sending the 3 T-54s up north, it's always risky because Tornado Rocks is a good team. So they're always going to have a spot up there with the FET-15B. As I said, if they had pushed straight away, if Wombats had pushed straight away when those IS-7s got spotted, they would have got a T-54 up north for nothing. Like, there wasn't a Waffentrager there, and more importantly, there wasn't an FET-15B spotting that northern cap, so they would have got that T-54 behind. Then Tornado Rocks realized, hey, that's the obvious move. They weren't getting spotted from that zero line with the Object 140 or whatever, or the T-54, so yeah, they got themselves into the right position, and then the Waffentrager just hit every single shell onto those 2 Tier 9s and Tier 10 as they were crossing up towards that northern area. Got them down low. Lucic immediately going through the middle and making shots onto Creets. I felt like they, Wombats had a good idea. They were a little bit slow to the punch. I felt maybe if they'd just gone for the standard play with the Object 140, because they had control of that zero line, because they took down Object 140, had Object 140 hull down, send the IS-3s into the middle, get the cap, or get that eastern village with control of the middle via that 140. As long as they keep pressure on the eastern village, they should be okay. I mean, look how much damage the Annihilator did, though. I mean, that's basically 2 Tier 10s. He was definitely the biggest player and probably one of the main reasons why Tornado won that round.
And they are pretty solid, to be completely honest, at this one. As said, they have had some issues, but that looked well-rounded. That looked, so much better, much better poised to them as to how they played. It didn't over-panic when they saw the commitment towards the north, didn't over-commit. The crossfire was very quick as well as it came into play, as we saw those 3 tanks, as you said, pushing towards the north. So it did seem as though Tornado Rocks were well aware of the possibilities of what Wombats on tanks were bringing through. However, will it be the same when the shoe is on the other foot, of course? It will be the turn of, Tornado Rocks to be on the harder side, the almost impossible side, it seems, on the attack very soon. And Ollie, we reckon this could be another 1-1 now? We've seen enough, I think, so...
Yeah, I think so. As we said before 100 times, there's a very fine line between winning and losing on Ruinberg attack. I mean, we saw there at the end, Tornado Rocks was significantly ahead, but there was a fine line. I mean, a couple more things going towards Wombats' favour. It could have been a win for them. So, I mean, anything can happen on this map. But when the attacker wins, it's always a very close game. But technically, I think this should be a 1-1. I think we should be going on to Cliff, as we predicted from the beginning. Best of 9. It's probably, with these kind of caliber of teams, it's going to be a tiebreaker pretty much for certain. But yeah, I mean, Tornado are on match point. They have the opportunity now to actually go on and win this match 5-3. So, that's maybe going to give them a little bit of motivation. They just need to make some elements work together perfectly, and that will maybe just give them that extra 10%. But as I said before, not being that impressed with Tornado on the attack on this map. So I'm not expecting that one, at least. Yeah,
I'm with you on that. I do recall actually teams being able to pick up the attacking side against them, which was very surprising and somewhat of an upset. As you said, we don't see often. There's been very few teams who've been able to do sort of anything close to that sort of play. So I'm wondering what you guys at home think about this, of course. This is your thoughts and how to get involved with us. Melly, if they want to let us know their thoughts on Ruinberg, what strategies they'd like to see maybe on the attacking side, how can they do so?
Well, one option is, of course, our Twitch chat, so you're very welcome to join and chat with us. I also read in there that Tornado Rocks is better when it comes to chaos, and Wombats is better when it comes to plan stuff. I don't know who wrote it. Shout out, of course. And, of course, hashtag WGLEU over at Twitter.
And I think you raise a good point there. I think that when you have very strong individuals like Tornado Rocks has, it all starts to go very well when they can individually shine. But when you want that real composure, that's where your Wombats on tanks come in. But let's find out if that comes into the fray at all. As we are back on this one now on the attacking side, it will be Tornado Rocks on what is argued one of the hardest sides to break in towards. And on the defense, it's Wombats on tanks.
Interesting double PZ4 Waffentrager picked up by Tornado Rocks. Obviously, very high DPM, 490 damage per shell, and amazing camo value. So they could be sitting all along that F line without being spotted and shooting up towards the middle. So have to see how they utilize. We haven't seen that before on this map. It looks like they've been split up though. Positive's just going straight up towards Karitz, who is on his own. See how long Positive can survive this one. Not sure exactly he realizes, but Just Cause did get the better off in that one, in that first shot.
Yeah, and Just Cause is in a really curious spot actually. Quite well committed, but covered. It's relatively risky in a way that he could get surrounded here, but he does have support in the right places, for his sake at least, I can imagine. Now Karit's looking to be overmatched here. FC Dynamo are going to go off the commitment. I can imagine a Positive actually landing a shell to that. I wonder if they're going to actually go fully in on this one. Coca-Cola and Breakneck are going to be providing covering fire, and there we go. FC Dynamo gets reminded of that. Yeah,
Just Cause with a great position there in the back. It's obviously very risky, and Karit's actually getting spotted. This could be bad news for Karit. He's behind double bushes, probably will fall. Just Cause on his own as well. Yeah,
this is the problem. There was a chance that you could get caught out here now. Okay, Wombats are on the defending side, but Karit is low, and look at Bishop as well. He's been found. What on earth is going on here? Vorsic just waiting for the chance to do some more damage, and suddenly a lot more coming through. Bishop is absolutely pinned in, nowhere to run.
Yeah, that's really bad play by Bishop. I mean, the FVT-15B, a great tank in many ways, but we have seen so many great players being caught out by the fact they get double tracked, they get perma-tracked, they can't do anything about it, and they get taken down because that's obviously the back of that tank is where the turret is. So bad news for Wombats right now.
How the hell are Wombats letting Tornado Rocks into this game? I do not understand it. Coca-Cola getting picked apart. FC Dynamo finds it, and suddenly Tornado Rocks remember how to play the attack inside. They're taking damage, but they have every tank still standing.
Yeah, and Povel is actually going to be taken down very quickly. Vorsic, though, on behind. Vorsic might be able to find Povel, but Povel should have the 2 shots.
He should do. Vorsic is down to a 1 shot, and there we go. Finally comes through with the goods. That's the first tank down for Tornado Rocks, bearing in mind. And there's a trade out. Lucine comes in onto Povel. Suddenly, this map could be over.
This map could easily be over. It's 6 versus 2 right now. FC Dynamo takes down Karit. He was sitting in that K0 line. And Breakneck on reload in that FVT-15B. Again, caught around the corner. Doesn't have a repair kit.
Wombats on tanks. What are you doing? This was your game to basically win out on, get to the next map, and do the damage. Breakneck now is in real dire straits. He's got fire coming left, right, and center. That IS-4 is going to take a lifetime to get to him, and the Armageddon takes the chance and takes him down. Now, Kusok, your last man standing. Sure, these tanks are relatively low, but not low enough for this, surely.
Myriad of mistakes right now for Wombats and tanks, and you can see the well, you can't see, but we can see the GG World players have come out. It's definitely going to be game over. Tornado Rocks will be able to pick up the match point, and I must admit, I never expected it. And no fault to Tornado Rocks. I mean, great game, but to me, it felt like Tornado Rocks. Wombats just gave that game, gifted that game on a silver platter, like throw heaven towards Tornado. Unbelievable. They never expected it.
No, bad positioning coming through, players being caught out, and you could understand some theory crafting to the positioning, but not in a map. In this sort of point, you don't go, okay, well, they're on match point, we better go and try some risky stuff out because that's a great idea for the top 3. What on earth was that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, what do we have? The RU-251 going on the 0 line.
Yep.
That was okay.
Relatively standard.
That was
okay.
Now. I mean, they kept good pressure onto those 2 tanks. They're trying to get the 0 line. That's a standard position. Just Cause behind that building. I mean, we've seen that before. The thing is, you actually have to... He's going to die, right, at some point in time, but you have to make sure he dies for something. The problem is that they lost Just Cause, and then they lost the FVT-15B. The FVT-15B of Bishop just drove around that corner, got perma-tracked immediately thanks to some pretty normal positions up the 8 line. Done and dusted, completely killed. That's 2 tier 8s, 2 tier 10s down, a batch chat, and an FVT-15B. That's the game. I mean, that you can't throw that kind of material around. And, yeah, terrible stuff. Bishop, really bad play. Kusok also in a standard position, but he just couldn't go forwards. I felt like maybe a bad decision with the double batch chats. I think perhaps one batch chat would have been enough, but then they should have had like a Waffentrager Alpha E100 just for that Eastern Village play. So when those 2 IS-7s push around to try and take down Just Cause, you can just unload it 3,000 damage onto them, take them down low, or at least just kill one. So you at least get something for your money, something for your back chat falling.
Yeah, that was just an absolute shambles of a game for any of you fans out there of the Wombats on Tanks. You'll be just sitting there going, what the hell just happened, basically. But still, not just about us sitting here in the studio being baffled, it's about you at home and Melly, the people who will be left scratching their head after that one.
I mean, Tornado Rocks was voted with 29% at the end as a possible winner. So the vote was heavily in favor of Wombats on Tanks. And I just checked the results, the predictive results from the community, and we had exactly 3 people guessing the correct ending of this. So
Jeez. Pretty close.
Yes, congratulations, of course. But I mean, that was something like the minority. Oh, really?
Massively so. Oh, you don't expect games like that to finish that sort of way. I think the Wombats on Tanks, back to the drawing board.
There was like,
excuse me.
So there was that one game where I would have said we're definitely going to see this hiding map.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I even thought Wombats was going to win the whole thing. I felt like Wombats overall were playing better.
I agree. And then suddenly it all fell apart on one round. But then again, that's what can happen. Ruinberg, it may be not just the map that only goes one way. Maybe there's more to it than we think. But guys, there are other games coming out today. We still have 2 more games to see. What a way to start off this day here. I don't know what to say. Wombats on Tanks, I would be more frustrated than anything because now Tornado Rocks are at the very tip top of this league. But is there going to be a challenger else today, though, bearing in mind we do have Ding and Kazna coming up next, who are within that top 6. Kazna definitely need to keep themselves in this one. Yep. A clean victory is something that is needed on the horizon, and Ding, certainly a challenger. So, guys, do stay tuned. We'll be back after the break with the next game.